Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today we're going to shoot a beginner recurve. Now I set this up in one of the past videos, but I'll run through it and I'll sort of tell you why we're doing this video. So this is a basic beginner setup that I recommended. So we're going to shoot it. It's set at 22 pounds. I'm 22 pounds at 29 inches. Now this is a Crossan Xena riser. It's the lightest of the metal recurve risers, which is why I'm shooting it. It's got a grip that I like because it puts my hand in the right position. So it's nice and light. That's what I want. I've got foam limbs. So these are the Xena foam limbs. They're about 150 bucks. Riser's about $200. I put it on a Crossan Scorpion sight. So we're going to see how this holds up. Probably around 80 bucks. $20 plunger button. From Avalon, an Avalon little kicker rest. Now the reason I stuck this on, if your tune's really out, you blow away arrow rests or break things. So these are pretty durable. So, and when you're starting out like I am, you're going to say you've been shooting for years, I've gone back to 20 pounds because of the heart surgery. Look, I haven't even put knocking points on the string. And you're going to say, why haven't you put knocking points on? Because I just want to see how the bow flies. That's all. I just want to shoot arrows. I'm not that interested in where they go. But for you, you might be interested because you might be a 20 pound, you might be shooting 20 pounds and go, well, how does that compare to a 56 pound bow? And that's what we're kind of interested in. Now, given that I haven't shot for a while, for several months, well, it's been probably 3 months since surgery. So I really haven't shot since then. Before surgery, I was shooting pretty good. So we're shooting at 14 meters, so not the full 18 meters that I normally shoot, 14 meters, because I'm shooting a lighter poundage bow. Okay, that's a 40 centimeter target, so it's a normal indoor target. The arrows I'm shooting, these are Pandarus Alpha X's 4.2s, about 60 bucks a dozen. They are cut to length. When I say cut to length, they're full length. So they come with the points. I don't cut them down. I'm not shooting a clicker, right? Because I'm just getting back into archery. Like, I don't have stabilizers because the weight will be too much for me to hold up. So this is a basic beginner's setup, okay? It's just like, this is what you expect if you shoot. Now, when I started archery, 40 odd years ago, when I was 12, at 10 meters, I couldn't hit a target. Like, I don't mean that size target. I mean, I couldn't hit the target bar. I was horrible. Absolutely horrible after the beginner's course. In fact, everyone was pretty much like that. And if you go to a beginner's course today at any of your archery clubs, you'll find most people shoot like that. It takes lots and lots of practice, and that's what I always sort of say about practice. All the little bits you buy will add a little bit if you've got the technique behind you. You need technique. Right, so we're going to shoot and sort of see how it all goes. I line my arrow up at about 90 degrees, hopefully. Now obviously if I'm wrong, then that will affect my ups and downs. But again, I'm not that worried because I just want to get in the thing of pulling back, getting my muscles moving, getting into shooting. Too many beginners worry about way too much, okay? What you want to be concerned with is this the right arrow for the bow? And the only way you're going to know that is through shooting. It's a bit of trial and error, so it's a bit scary at the start. A bit scary for me at the start of this because I didn't know if these arrows are going to suit. Now when you line up my arrow with the pin's slightly to the left, so these arrows are slightly stiff for this bow. Got 1,000 spined arrows at a 22 pound bow. I think at my draw, I think it's 25. So let's have a few arrows and let's see where they go. Now, again, for me, things don't feel right. So my body, my shoulders, normally you should feel the muscles in your back. For me, I feel it in my chest because that's where I was cut open. That's what got busted open. My shoulders, like I can now kind of lift my arms up to the right spot, but it kind of hurts. So when you're starting out, just try and get everything in the right position. Watch people shoot. I want this arm a little bit higher than the arrow. You know, maybe at the same height as the same angle as the arrow, parallel to the ground. And you can be a little bit high if you want because you can drop your shoulder into the shot. I don't drop my shoulder into the shot. Some people do. I try and bring it straight back through. So. And what I'm interested in here is my release. Release is critical on a recurve. And I found the higher up I went with poundage on a recurve, the cleaner the release and the cleaner the shots were. Or it could be I was just practicing more. Now, what you're trying to do is keep this shoulder down when you shoot. You don't want to be leaning back like this. Straight up and down. If anything, you can lean forward into the shot, but straight up and down, this shoulder low. So you want this shoulder lower than the arrow. If you're going to do anything when you practice, take a picture of yourself or take a video of yourself, and that way you can analyse yourself. Against the greatest archers, there's a whole bunch of archers you can watch. All will have slightly different techniques, and just go with one and practice. And know they shoot a lot of arrows. What I'm trying to do is bring my hand back, so it's definitely easier at a higher poundage to bring your hand back. I had that one knocked a little bit high. And I have my hand a little bit loose and the bow hopefully just jumps forward a little bit. Now what stabilizers will do if you're strong enough is it gets rid of the wobbling. The more weight you add to stabilizers, the more wobbling it will get rid of. But you still need the basic strength. I don't have that basic strength yet, so I've got no stabilizers. So if you're a kid or someone starting out, you don't need stabilizers to start with. But once you've got enough strength to hold up the bow, get stabilizers. Now I think the arrows are flying pretty good. I haven't tuned them, I haven't shot them through paper, I haven't bare shafted them. But what I noticed, there's no marks on my riser. And yes, I've only shot 40 arrows. There's no marks on my riser and no marks on my arrows, so that means they're pretty good. If you see marks on your arrows, marks on your riser, that means you've got a problem. Okay. Now I had the other day this customer returned to me a bow and he moved the limbs over to one side fully. I'm going to say I have no idea what he was doing. Okay. As a beginner, and I'm going to say as probably most archers in Australia, you're not at that level. You just want to shoot. Because some people, they get where the string doesn't come on the center of this when they shoot, it comes off to the side. It's because they're plucking the string. So when they shoot, they release the shot and they pull it out like this, and then it's actually released out here. So when the string vibrates, it's not running down the true line of the bow, it's kicking off to the side. Now that will occur if you're gripping the bow, if it's not loose in your hand, and it's a bad release. So I've had many customers where it doesn't run down the center of their line when they shoot and they come in here. I'm like, well, let me shoot. For me, it tracks perfectly. When they shoot, it doesn't track. Now, as they go up in poundage, it would, because it's going to be more tension on the string. However, it's still bad technique and they're still going to struggle with scores. So try and get things fixed when you shoot. I'm going to say less tuning, more shooting. But you need the bow set up. And I'm going to say, when I started, I guarantee, looking back on it, my bow would have been set up like rubbish. Because there was no one to help me. The archery shops didn't help you. They sold you the stuff and like, see you later. They didn't spend time with you. They didn't set up the bows. There was nothing. There was no one to help you. There was no YouTube back when I started. It was just like, go shoot a bow. I'm going to say most people were horrible shooters. And it's not just that they're horrible people, just they broke lots of arrows. And the people who were good, they didn't want to share their secret, right? So, like, I don't want to tell you what I do because I don't want you to be as good as me. I want to be the best. That's changed a lot. These days, people are very happy to help. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this arm lined up with the arrow in the same line as the arrow. So the more I shoot, the more my shoulder kind of opens up, and I'm hoping it opens up. The more mobility I get in it, the more feel I'll get, and hopefully the better my technique will get. And hopefully my strength will return, and hopefully I'll be able to return to the way I used to shoot. But it's going to take a fair bit of time. I'm going to go through lots of limbs, and I'm going to do lots of videos on and see how it progresses, and hopefully it's fast because I want to be ready soon to shoot. When you shoot, try and hold the bow up after the shot. Too many people collapse in the shot. You want to be like a statue. Keep aiming at the shot after the shot. For me, I find it quite hard without the clicker because I normally release on the clicker. So, well, let's go down and see what these arrows are. Okay, now I did sight the bow in before I did the video, and obviously I stood back about a metre from where I sighted the bow in. And I'm going to say with 20 pounds, because the arrows are arcing when they're hitting the target, 1 metre makes a big difference. It makes a lot less difference the faster the arrows, the higher poundage bow. Now, my left and right, look, it's kind of varying from one side of the 9 to the other side of the 9. That's pretty good. I'm very, very happy with that, and probably extremely surprised. Because if you pluck it, because I have shot 40 arrows since coming back from surgery, if you pluck it out to the side, so you do that out to the side, the arrows kick out here. And so I found shooting 20 pounds very hard on the release. Okay. Now the height thing. Now again, I'm going to make the excuse I don't have thing, but look, I'm very happy with this. Look, the sight's a little bit low. That's okay. So the centre's probably here in the red, and it's probably a hand width, which means all my arrows are going to be in the 8. They're all going to be golden 8s, which is going to be pretty good for a 20-pound bow. For $60 arrows, no stabilizers, a $300 bow, a $80 sight. Now the sight didn't come loose. Now I'm going to say there's better sights on the market than the Cross and Scorpion. Okay, there's better arrows on the market than these. There's better everything. Okay, this is a beginner's setup, and you acknowledge it. You go, look, this is okay. If I can beat someone with a beginner's setup, then it's like, oh, when I have fancy stuff, well, watch out. Look, that's really good shooting, and I'm not going, yeah, look, I'm a great shooter. This is what you should be able to do at 14 meters. Keep your arrows in the blue. You keep your arrows in the blue at 14 meters with a 20-pound bow. You are good to go in that state. In that state of shooting, as far as if you can keep them in the blue, that's a 6. At 14 meters, you are good to go. And when I say good to go, it doesn't mean go back to 60 meters. It means you're going to be a pretty decent shot. At your club, in your state, you're going to be a good archer. And it means you could take on tournaments. Like with this shooting, could I take on a nationals now? Because the nationals are in 2 months. Yeah, I would. With that, I would. Doesn't mean I'd win. But I'd be pretty... I think I'd be okay. Like in the whole grand scheme. And this is my first end back, right? From heart surgery. I'm not feeling in the back, and I've got all the excuses in the world, right? The thing is, as a beginner, As soon as you can shoot them all in the blue, you're good to then move back. Now, I've always had a thing when I coach people, the arrows have got to be in the gold to move back to a longer distance. Too often I see people shooting 60 meters and can't hit the target bar. You should be hitting the gold before you move back to a long distance. It's the rule I had when I ran a club. My kids, all the people I coached were good archers. And they had that thing. They weren't allowed to move back to the next distance until all their arrows in the goal. Basically, they had to shoot scores where all their arrows in the goal before they moved back to the next distance. Hence, when they go to a competition, all they hit is golds. If you hit golds when you go to a competition, you're going to be one of the best archers there, right? So, my summary. When you're starting out, clickers, stabilizers, all the bits that you want to worry about, tuning. I haven't tuned the bow. That's not tuned. You don't worry about it. You need a basic setup. You need the arrow not striking the bow, so it's a clear shoot. You can see these arrows are pointing straight back at me. Now, I think I did a video on this bow a couple of weeks ago when I was just started and I shot 3 arrows and I plucked the shot because I just wasn't, my hands not in the right position and it was hurting my chest. That's okay. The thing is about improving, and even when you enter a competition, it's not about whether you win or lose. It doesn't matter. It's how you go in yourself. Some people can shoot all their arrows in the gold at home, and when they go to a competition, they get nervous and they start shaking, right? Or they'll be winning, and then they'll get nervous, and then they fall in a heap. You'll see it every single competition you enter. And the question is, you've got to calm yourself down and go, look, I'm just here to shoot out good arrows. I just want to beat the score. And entering a competition, what it does is not about winning in my mind. Although I haven't shot for prize money, if I shot for prize money, it's probably completely different. It's about going, can I shoot the same or better than I have at home in practice? That's what it's about. Because most people in competition will shoot significantly worse than they do in practice. I generally shoot better in competition because I'm more focused, I'm paying more attention, I'm more focused. Where in practice I'm just like lobbing arrows, right? So like I don't have my knocking point on my bow here. If I entered a competition I would. Okay? So now you're going to say, why didn't you fit a knocking point? Because I was going to change strings. That's the major reason. I just wanted to shoot the bow and sort of see how it goes. And because I'm starting to feel stronger now, I think I'll try this one a bit and then I'll probably wind up the bow a little bit. Hopefully this weekend I'll be able to wind it up a couple of, like one turn. And I've said before, don't wind up your bow because you lose stuff. But for me starting out, these arrows I think are fractionally too stiff. So I reckon I'll get one turn, maybe even 2 turns good out of these arrows. When I finish these limbs, so when I feel like I'm strong enough with these limbs and I jump to the next limb, that's when I'll go for clickers, arrows the correct size. I'll probably just go for the ones above these. So these are 60. I think there's ones there for 80, 100. I'll probably go for those, the next ones, the Panderas, the ones up. From these, they're a little bit straighter and you can cut them down and fit your own points. That's when I'm starting to get a little bit more serious, and that's when I'm like, okay, let's see what scores I shoot. That's when I'll probably start putting stabilizers on. I almost feel like I should put stabilizers on now, but I won't this weekend. I won't have any stabilizers because I still want to get everything flowing. So again, beginners, work on technique, videotape yourself, work up close, don't shoot long distance, don't play with your gear. Too many people are stuffing around with everything and not focusing on what they should, which is their technique. You know, I had a guy in the other day and he's like, my riser's bent, and I run a string over and I'm like, I can't see it. Like, I'm sure I can shoot this bow good. And so we had a bit of a fight in the shop about it, and I'm like, this wouldn't affect the way this guy shoots. guaranteed 100% will not affect the way the guy shoots, because it's also minor. If you're an elite, if you're an Olympian, maybe. And I'm going to repeat what I repeat in most videos. Daryl Pace won the World Championships with a twisted limb in Canberra. And, you know, that's shooting aluminium arrows. I think he was shooting aluminium arrows, wood limbs, cast riser. And I think he probably should have won the 13 or 1200. Like, big score. And everyone's worried about everything and they're shooting like garbage, right? So, focus on yourself, get your form good, get your shooting good, and build strength, build form, and then build your equipment slowly into it. It's no use having the $1,000 bow and not having any form to go with it. Okay, so that's about it. So very happy with this setup. Love the bow. The bow's got no vibration. I've got no stabilizers on it, no dampeners. The limbs I'm happy with. The sight hasn't vibrated loose. Nothing's come loose on the thing. The arrows I'm happy with. I've Robin Hooded one arrow, but they've got pin systems on them. So therefore I can just put another pin on. So, you know, $1 and I can shoot my arrow again. These arrows, I sound like a walking advertising. So many people in the club say you need aluminium arrows so you can find your arrows when you miss. Are you joking? Don't miss. You should never be shooting at a distance where you miss. Okay, if you're missing the target, and I see it all the time, you're shooting too far. I'm going to say the problem, I used to shoot aluminium arrows when I started. The problem with our aluminium arrows, one of the problems, you miss, you'll bend them. The other problem is there's no point weight up front. So if you throw a dart without point weight, it's very hard for it to fly. There's no point weight in an aluminium arrow. Because it's the old school system, they had no weight in the front of the points. It's hard to get the arrow to tune. These things are cheap, they're affordable, they're robust, they won't bend. You could probably bounce them off a brick wall. They're amazing. And they're so cheap. Carbon used to be really expensive, and now it's cheap and good quality. If you're shooting other stuff, like seriously, craziness. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to shoot some more. Hopefully I'll be able to shoot some compound and see how that goes. So I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Remember, the more you shoot, the better you shoot. Thanks for watching. Bye.